Two, episode 11. It's your boy, Sibs. Um, Tonight, I've got a very, very special guest, Mr. Roland Williams. He he basically on a live got chosen to sing with Wanye Morris from Boys to Men. And Wanye invited him over to America, and now they tied like this. So he breaks down singing, how he got into singing. He's Fijian, so that's like second nature. But he also talks about a little bit of struggles and how being so talented, sometimes you struggle with being so talented. And the thing that struck me about him is his humility. He's extremely humble, extremely grateful. He's a great family man. He loves his connections and his relationships, and he does all that he can to nurture it. Just for those that don't understand what a gospel singer or a worship leader does, or a person that sings in the worship team in church, the worship team is basically in charge of bringing the congregation into the presence of God. So it's a very, very important role. It's not just singing; it's a spiritual. Um, it's a spiritual discipline. It's a. It's something that is. It can either make or break what's actually happening in the atmosphere. So yeah, just to give to if you don't understand what worship in a Christian sense is, that's it. It's edifying God. So worship leading is when you sing and bring people into the presence of God. And there's miracles that happen in there. There's changes. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. And without getting weird, worship is a not a command, but it's asked of every believer to worship. So having someone like him, he does a few riffs for us as well, and he's got a beautiful voice. He sounds like Luther Vandross. So I mean, that's so amazing that we've got people like this in New Zealand, and we don't have a clue, But he's part of Life Church, and Life Church is an amazing church. So yeah, we're bringing one of the church boys out. So enjoy. He is such a great guy. You're gonna see more of him. He's a citizen of the show. But yeah, Smack Talk 2022, turning it up. Have a good evening. Don't be a hater. Awesome. Welcome to Smack Talk, everybody, at Smack Talk 2022. It's me, your boy Sibs. But do I have someone for you Smack Talkers out there? It is Roland Williams. Now, I heard Roland was it Republic Band?
Oh yeah, just out of Medicare, I think it was it.
Yeah. So
the boys it was a while ago. I think it was the Federation Band.
Federation, that's the one. That's the Federation. Yeah. And I was at a live that you guys did with the guy with the sax.
Tabani Gapara, one of the baddest.
And you guys were ripping it, and I was like, man, this guy, and then at one time we were there, the bar was packed, and then I looked over to my left, and there was a whole bunch of people from Life Church,
Oh yes, yeah.
in one corner, and I was like, hey, this is how they get down, man. So Roland, thank you so much for your time. We just want to pick as much knowledge as we can.
Sure.
There's the people that are out there have a lot of talent, and you could be one guy that can offer us some advice so that we can actually steward our talent, because as we know, talent doesn't go far in life. We need to do the hard work as well. So just explain to us, how did you grow into your voice? What inspired you, and then how did you take it from being a singer to edifying God on a Sunday morning? How does that work for you?
Thanks for that, brother, and thank you so much for having me on. It's honestly a pleasure and something that I'm really, really privileged to be able to do and be on here with you. But my singing journey started off like all singers, started off in church. I was probably the age of 3 from memory, and my mother, my auntie, my uncles, my nana, they were all in the choir at church. They all sang in the choir and the worship team. And so I think my earliest memory is just my mom carrying me up onto the stage where the choir was standing, and getting into the choir song. And so being part of the choir at the age of 3, and pretty much just growing up in an AOG church. I grew up in an AOG church growing up in Pentecostal, and that was sort of like the family thing. It was sort of like sort of like tradition. I don't really like using that word too much, but it was like the family thing, everybody sang. So the natural transition was to get into the worship team or even in the choir. So started off in church, and there were, even in the church, there were great mentors there. There were great singers that were in the choir and on the worship team that just really edified and showed, the gifting that God had given it. And so for me, that was how I started off singing in church, and I did that for many years. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and learning and understanding, figuring out how to do things, whether it was harmonies, because I was useless at harmonies. I eventually learned how to harmonize. Yeah, but I couldn't harmonize to save myself. No lies, man. I would hear people do it, and then I'd sort of like, okay, cool, that's how you do that. And I think it was my older sister. She taught me how to harmonize one day. She was like, oh, this is what you're gonna do when you harmonize. So then I just kept practicing that. Fast forward, I just kept singing in church till about the age of, I think it was like 14 years old. And then by this time I was in high school, and I had a cousin, right, that was in a band, and he was going away to a trip in Australia. And so this is back in Fiji, and he was like, hey, cuz I'm going on a trip, is it possible for you to fill in for me in this band? And I said, oh yeah, cool, I'm keen to do it. And I was like, oh, what are we doing? And so he said, oh, we're going to be doing gigs here and there, corporate stuff, at resorts and stuff in Fiji, and that's where you're going to come in. So when did this sort of like audition type thing with these guys and these old school cats that just had this amazing gift for music, bro, and they were keen to take me on board. So that was probably, I think that was like a year later, age of 15. That's when I started doing the covers scene back in Fiji. But prior to this, obviously I'd sung in church, and one thing that my uncle always drilled into me growing up was, hey, you got to distinguish whether or not you're using your talents for God. Is it going to be for God, or are you going to dabble in both? And so, I don't know if anybody knows what being an AOG person is like, but it's pretty strict. They're pretty strict with how they roll, and so just to pause you, bro, like. AOG, it means Assemblies of God. So yes, that's
AOG, they don't sing, they sang. Like, like they gets down.
Exactly, brother. So I had people in church that were older than me, around my uncle's age, that were just amazing singers, bro. You just grow up and you just idolize these guys, and you think it's just so amazing how they use their gifts. And so growing up, always sang in church, man. But like my mom, she's old school, so it's good that she brought me up around a lot of old school music and a mixture. So I got to listen to country. I love country, love reggae, and then obviously Motown soul, rock. So pretty much everything and anything I was listening to, and real hardcore reggae, like some groups that people don't even listen to. And so just, listening to all of that. And so I was surrounded by all of that growing up. So it got to the point where I eventually made the decision. I was like, okay, I'm going to pursue the secular music. And I'm not going to dabble in both because I don't want to serve two masters. I was I made my decision. I'm going to do the secular thing. And so my uncle, who I'm actually named after, I've got my second name from him. He was pretty disappointed with my decision at the time. because he wanted me to sing solely in church.
Yeah.
But he allowed me to do my thing. But this is one of the funniest things to happen, bro. So I did this gig at a bar back in Fiji, and then I finished the gig, and so I was like, okay, I've done what I was not meant to do, because I was part of the worship team. You can't be doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I came back to church that day, and I was like, hey, Uncle Ralph, I need to see you. And he said, oh yeah, what's up? And he goes, I just need to tell you something. So the funniest thing, this is the funniest thing. I was a bit nervous, but I knew what I needed to get off my chest. But I get into the office, and he goes, oh wait, hang on, I want to talk to you about something. And then I was like, oh yeah, what happened? And he goes, oh, so someone saw you gigging at the bar last night. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, so based off that, and what's happened, I'm not too happy with it. And you know what my stance is? I said, yeah, totally. I understand where you're coming from. And he said, so I'm going to have to suspend you. Oh. I'm going to have to suspend you. My uncle, bro, my mom's youngest brother, he was like, I have to suspend you. And so it was funny, man, because I was like, hey, well, it's funny that you're actually going to suspend me. I was actually coming here today to tell you that that's what I did last night, and this is what I've chosen to do.
Yeah.
So then the board of deacons at church, they're like, hey, this is the first time he's done anything of this nature. Let's give him a chance. He's only young. Let's give him a chance and let him work his way back into the team and stuff. And, my uncle was, he had his principles, and I respect him for it, love him for it. And he said, okay, we'll see where we go, but that's what the board of deacons have said. What do you want to do? And I said, oh, actually, I'm gonna stick with the covers thing, and I'm gonna do secular music, even though it was breaking my heart, and it was, I knew he was hurting too. So then I decided to venture into secular music, and I started doing covers gigs, with some of our amazing musicians back in Fiji, sorry, and that was my journey. So I did the covers thing while still being at school, from the age of 15 to about, I think it was like 17 years old. But the thing for me, just to check it in there, was I grew up in in a single parent home. My mom was the sole provider for our family. She worked hard, she provided, she did everything. A father figure was in prison in the family, but by this time she got married. So she got married, and she had a relationship, but it was a very troubled one. There was a lot of things that were going on in the home, both physical, emotional abuse and stuff that was going on in the home. So for me, I was really fortunate that God had placed the gifting of music and singing in my life, because it allowed me to have an outlet to go and sing and to escape this for 3-4 hours, 5 hours, and then come back to the normality of things. And then until my next gig. And so this was sort of like my saving grace, in a way, that God gave me, was music. And so that allowed me to go out and sing and gig and bring people joy, whilst at the same time I had my own hurtings, but it was seeing the joy in people that was allowing me to heal at the same time and bring them joy. So I was like, oh man, like I'm doing something that I love, something that I enjoy. And then just continued pretty much in the cover scene for quite some time, bro. Like, and I was gigging, I go to school, get a call, and someone say, hey, we're going to gig in Nandi, which is like 3 hours from Suva where I live. And they're like, we're going to pick you up. So I go to the was the sick bay and be like, oh, I'm actually sick, I gotta go home. And I was like literally going home to get my gears and go for a gig. But I think for me, when I look back now, like music, it's all, music and the gift of music, whether it's singing or playing, it's all God's, like it's God's. If he can get the rocks to cry out, he doesn't need us, so it's all going back to him one way or the other, and it's all his. So I was just fortunate that he placed this in me and allowed me to use this as a way to not only bring joy to people, but heal and also have an outlet as well. So that was pretty much my journey with music, and did that for many years. Got to perform with some amazing artists back home, and one of them being Danny Ray Costello, R.I.P. rest in peace. So it opened up for him one of his concerts, and that was pretty epic for me, bro. Special, and I had my wife there with me as well. And then eventually came to New Zealand, bro. But that's sort of like my journey in music from when I started in church to singing for many years, and then moving on to the cover scene.
Before we get to how you went back to church, because I'm gonna ask you a correlation of the two. Talk to us about Wanye Morris.
Oh wow, bro.
Boys to Men is back again.
Boys to Men. Boys to Men. Bro, one of the most amazing, down to earth, humble, giving people that I've ever met, you know. So that was, again, you know, for me, I believe that was another God moment, because I was still doing the secular music covers thing here in New Zealand, and I was working as a youth worker at the same time. And so it just so happened that one Wednesday, or Thursday for us, it was Wednesday for them, I had put my notifications on for when any of these amazing singers would be doing a live. And so he did a live back in America every Wednesday. And so saw a notification come on, he's on, so then I sent a request. Now he had a lot of people that were probably waiting in the queue as well to jump in on his live and talk to him or sing for him. And so I said, okay, you know what? He didn't accept this week. I'm going to send another request the week after. So for 3 months, bro, 3 months, I just kept requesting whilst typing up my reports at work. And I kept sending a request. And he eventually accepted my request one day, bro. I nearly fell off my chair.
Oh my God.
And so he accepted. It had this round thing saying, you know, Wanye Morris, did go live with Wanye Morris. He's accepted. And so I was like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I'm in my office. I'm not the quietest person, bro. So I'm like, if I sing here, the whole block is going to hear me sing. So what do I do? So I checked out my little Samsung earpod thingies, and I walked out the office, and the only place that I could sing was under these trees by work. So there was a fence that was there. So I literally shot over to the fence, and he was like, you know, hey, what's up? And we started talking and stuff. By this time, I'm standing by the tree trying to hide at the same time to not get caught or look like a fool in the corner.
Crazy,
Exactly. So I'm like talking to him at the same time, and the funniest thing, bro, was there were birds in the trees, so they were chirping at the same time, bro. And I'm like, oh goodness, I didn't even think of it at the time, but and so we start talking, we start conversating, and I tell him I'm from New Zealand, and I think he commented on the weather, and I said, yeah, it's daytime here, and you know, obviously he'd done many trips here for tours and stuff. And then he goes, all right, yeah, man, you know, you want to sing something? I said, yeah, I'm a singer. So I sang a song for him, bro, and nervous as hell, bro. I was so nervous. And so I sang Freddie Jackson, Rock With Me Tonight.
Do you want to give us a small little?
Oh, a little snip. So Freddie Jackson, so it's like, rock with me tonight, old time sing. So I sang that for him, bro.
Yeah.
And bro, I was so nervous.
Goosebumps.
I was nervous, bro. I was like, oh man. And there's a particular part of the song where it's quite challenging and you got to reach for a note. So usually I can hit that. But when you do it a cappella, you know, if you're not giving it 100%, you're going to miss it. So I realized I couldn't reach it. I realized I couldn't reach it, so I brought it back down. So I stopped singing. One is there. He really enjoyed the performance, and I think he commented on the tone of my voice, and he's just like, "Yo, that was amazing, man." And he's like, "Yo, can I just give you back some feedback?" I was like, "Yeah, cool." And he goes, "When the thing about those songs, if you're going to do them a cappella, people are expecting those pushing notes for you to get to it." He said, but when you get to it and you don't hit it or you don't attempt it, it's sort of like, you know, like this, you know, they sort of be built up, you know, that they haven't been received it. And so to be able to even receive this critique was massive for me, bro. You know, and then he just said to me online, he said, "Hey man, I'm starting up an online singing competition on Instagram. I want you to come back next week and audition for me."
Oh.
And bro, I was just like, wow, I was blown away. I didn't know what to say. I was lost for words. I was really humbled, bro. Just really, really humbled. You know, you do this music thing for so long, you know, and to have an opportunity to sing for someone that I consider one of the GOATs, you know?
Like Boys to Men.
Boys to Men, man.
Yeah.
You know, when you think of Boys to Men, he's for me, he's one of the guys that I remember instantly. Straight away, you know, when he hits those bridges in the songs. And so to be able to have him give me critique, positive criticism and stuff that I could grow on was huge for me, bro. And so the funniest thing was I finished singing, X'd out of the live. I went back to my office and my boss was like, were you singing for Wanye Morris? And I was like, from Boyz II Men, I was like, yeah. She's like, can you tell me next time you can do it in here? And I was laughing my head off, bro. I was laughing and laughing because people in the comments, they were going, hopefully next time you sing, there's birds in the background or something.
Yeah.
Stuff, and so I was just laughing to myself, bro. And I mean, fast forward, bro, I've had the opportunity to build a strong friendship, pretty much like family now with the dude where
because you were over there as well.
Yes, I did a trip to the US last year, bro, during COVID, you know. I was fortunate that a friend of mine who I used to throw discus with back in Fiji, we used to do track and field together. And again, this is another God moment, bro. So I finished, I hope you don't mind me going into this, but
go for it.
So we're talking with my wife, and she's like, you got to do this. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah. So then I was in church on Sunday, and I was like, doing worship, and one of the songs that came on, it was like, so when I fight, I'll fight on my knees. So that was literally my testimony in that moment. I was like, Lord, I'm giving this to you. I'm leaving it all in your hands. If it's your will and you want it to happen, I know that you'll open my eyes and give me a sign. And then I came outside, and the leaders for our life group, the wife, she was out there, and she said, hey brother, I think you should do this, and I think this is what God wants you to do. Obviously, talk it over with your wife and make sure that you make a decision as a couple. So as I get home, bro, I have lunch with my family. We go home and we're just chilling in our lounge, my wife and I. So we're chilling in our lounge together, and I was like, hey, I gotta call my friend and see if it's possible for me to go stay at his place in San Francisco. So I call him on Messenger. He's out going for a work dinner, and he's like, hey brother, what's up? And I was like, hey, I was just wondering, there's an opportunity that's come up. Wanye Morris from Boyz II Men has invited me over to the US to have a reunion with the people that I was in the competition with, some of the semifinalists, and I was just wondering, hey, is it possible for me to come stay with you? I said, but I'm not too sure if I'm going to do it yet. And he goes, why is that? Why are you not sure? And I said, I really want to do it, but it's just, a lot of the costs, bro. It's really, I've got my wife and our 5 kids, and I just don't think that I'm in a position to do it. And so he goes, what's one of the costs involved? And I said, quarantine. The fees for quarantine. And he's like, how long do you got to quarantine for? I said, 2 weeks. And he goes, how much is that? And I was like, it's like $3,100. Without hesitation, he goes, I'll pay it. What? Did I just hear it? He goes, bro, I'll pay the $3,100. You just get yourself here. I'll look after you when you come to San Fran. Don't worry about it. You need to take this opportunity. And right there, if we rewind a couple hours before that, I was doing worship, and I said, Lord, give me a sign that this is something that you want me to do. And, God, in being this all-powerful being, he was just like providing me with this opportunity to do it. And bro, and just opening doors, man. When I was limited in what I could do, he was limitless, and so I was like, man, Lord, you're so amazing. And eventually was able to go over to the States, man, and obviously catch up with this friend. But the catch is, I hadn't seen my friend for about 12 or 13 years when we were in high school. But to just pick up right from where we left off, throwing discus together, he was a couple years older than me. It's just definitely a God thing, and it just showed that the connection was still there, man. And bro, and got to come to the US and meet Wanye for the first time, bro. Crazy.
I'm like when you're talking about it, I'm actually like gobsmacked. I can't really fathom how like you go from singing on a live to Wanye Morris, Boyz II Men.
The Wanye Morris, bro. Exactly.
And then he says, Roland Williams, come over. I need to see you, that's cracking it in
Yeah, man. It was massive, bro. It was, and so I guess to give everyone a bit of context, the competition was pretty tough. There was amazing singers.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah,
there's amazing singers, and so I didn't make the finals. I just made the semis, so the top 20. And so I was like, oh dang, I missed out on it. But it was a good experience and everything. I still was disappointed in myself. And then I get this message on Instagram. Hey man, we want you to Wanye really wants you to be here. His assistant was like, we really want you to be here, Wanye. And his wife wanted you to come and be with the family here. And so made it
Wow.
happen, bro.
That's
Made
all
it happen.
God. That's all God.
Oh God, bro. Exactly.
Can I throw another question at you? We've got about 10 minutes. Can I throw
Sure,
another question at you?
sure, bro.
Um, you spoke earlier about singing and bringing people joy.
Yeah.
For those that aren't in the faith and doesn't
Uh-huh.
understand what a worship leader does, or can you explain how, what do you feel when you are worship leading in church?
Yeah.
How can you express that feeling just like how you feel when you're singing into a crowd at a bar or
Yeah.
in a studio or something like? Can you just explain that?
Yeah, sure thing. I guess one of the things, and it's funny that I hope to do soon is we're in God's time in His worship leader, and it's funny because that's one of the things that they've actually some people have spoken with me about worship leading. I haven't done it yet. I've just done like items and stuff at church
Yeah,
and
yeah,
being a BV at church, which I enjoy too. But I think if one of the things that I could really say about being able to minister in church, bro, it is so different to gigging at a bar. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're at a bar and everyone's obviously they're in that zone, they have that vibe, they have the
yeah.
alcohol that goes with
The
the
elks
food,
are
all that
going
sort of
off,
stuff.
and yeah,
Yeah, so you know it like helps with everything that's going on. Especially if
yeah,
I'm singing off key, you know, they
yeah.
don't hear it.
They don't care.
They don't care. And so it's funny, you know, when you're singing at church, bro, because it is the truest form of music. That's what I believe.
Yeah,
The music that we're able to sing to glorify God is all made by Him for
wow,
Him.
that's
Has
so good.
nothing to do with me, bro. You know, like um it's not about me and what I can do or what I can do vocally
Yeah,
or these experiences I've had
yeah,
and I'm just really blessed because if I take it back a few years, I had a bit of a difficult time in church, and so I chose to not sing for church for about 7 years, bro.
wow,
7 years. I said, you know what,
wow.
Lord, I'm disappointed this has happened. I'm not going to sing in church again. And this one day, this pastor was saying, and he goes, you know, some of you have gifts. I was a Green Lane Christian center. He said, some of you have gifts, but they're sitting here today in the service, and because of something that's happened, or because of something that someone said to them,
Damn.
holding back their gifts. Bro, my wife nudged me and she just kept nudging me in the same. She's
No,
like,
not
that's
the
true.
wife from the
That's
not the wife nudges.
yeah, she
Oh,
keeps it real, bro. So she kept nudging me. She's like, you gotta go up.
yeah,
And ever since giving it back to God and just saying, you know, Lord, I'm so sorry that I've done things my own way and wanted to do it on my own accord and get from it what I wanted to get.
yeah,
Um, you know, I keep focusing on the gift that I have as opposed to the giver of the gift, bro.
yeah,
You know, it's His work. And so now when I get the opportunity to sing in church and minister to people, it's just such a blessing, bro. It's like such a different feeling to gigging at like a bar or a massive concert or whatever it is,
yeah,
because it's in its truest form where you come in and you say to God, you know, Lord, I'm helpless, I'm hopeless, I
yeah,
am nothing, you know, I'm
yeah,
nothing without you. You know, and you know, I'm so blessed that God even receives my worship. You know, I think of the
yeah,
song
yeah,
from back in the day that goes, something beautiful, something good. All my confusions, He understood. Cause all I had to offer Him was my brokenness and strife. But He made something beautiful out of my life. So that's my
come
testimony, bro.
on.
We come to Him as broken people and people that are in our best condition, bro. But He takes that. A line that my wife uses all the time. She said, God didn't use the perfect people.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
used the ones that were broken and made
yeah,
mistakes and stumbled to then minister to the lost and say, hey, you know, we've been there, we've journeyed that life, and
yeah,
we've come to know this great and awesome and amazing God that's turned us around, you know, and allowed us to step into what He has for us, bro. So for me, it's just a special feeling, and I don't take it for granted, bro, because God doesn't need me.
mm, mm,
I need Him, bro.
yeah.
The people in the church don't need me to sing those songs,
Come on.
you know. So it's just all about Him, man. It's just blessed, honestly.
Yeah, bro, it's so encouraging to hear you and refreshing to hear you talk about God in a very personal way. And I think what I can sort of encourage people is that God is a personal God, but He can meet you where you're at. So you don't have to be He's not a God that's after perfection. He's a God that, and what Roland is saying is that if you can understand something that's flesh and tarnished and tainted, like a human being, edifying and an immortal being, that's something that is so celestial, even to worship it's you can't quantify it. And so I just want to just thank you, Roland, for bringing us to that place where I know a lot of people that come into church are broken. Christians are broken. And you create a environment where we can just lay it all down. If we have to get on our knees, we have to get on our knees to bow down and submit to something that's far bigger than us. And I just want to thank you so much for being truthful about being transparent about what actually goes on in your life today. And just the last couple of minutes, can you just for anyone who's out there that's got a gift in singing, what sort of one piece of advice that you can encourage them with?
Wow, singing. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed, no matter where you're using your gift of singing, right? One thing that I was always told, and it's funny, this was when I was in the secular band, and the guy always told me was, always remember, it's about the collective. It's never about the individual and what I'm doing, because if we shine, we shine together. If we fall, we fall together. And in the Christian context, people that have this gift of singing, I'd honestly say to, take that leap of faith and go out to your leaders and stuff at church and just say, hey man, like I have a gift of singing and I'd like to use it, and pray about it. The biggest thing, pray about it. Just say, Lord, is this something that you want me to do? Because he will answer you. And God's had to close some doors shut for me pretty hard. When I tried to reopen it or stick my foot in the way, he's had to humble me and let me know that wasn't the direction he wanted me to head in. But definitely talk to your leaders, get out there, pray about it, seek God about it, and see if that's something he wants you to do. And for those that are committed, like married, if you're married, and I'm blessed to have a supportive wife and children, communicate with your loved ones. Say, hey, this is what I'm looking to get into. It's a collective decision. Are you keen to support me on this journey? And that's what it's about, but it's all about God at the end of the day, man. Like I'm still falling, I'm still stumbling, but I'm imperfect, loved by a perfect God, man. So just blessed, man.
Hey, that's awesome. Just for the Smack Talkers out there, Roland is now officially a citizen of the show, so we're going to probably get him back on a few more sessions with us. But this was just a brief snapshot into what I personally think is one of our greatest singers in New Zealand at this time. So
humble, bro. Thank you so much, man.
Roland, thank you so much. Love to the family. God bless.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your time this evening. We love you heaps.
Appreciate you, bro. God's blessings on you and all that you do and your family. Thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, brother. Have a good evening.
God bless you too, man.
God bless. Cheers, man.
Cheers, brother.